Welcome back for episode 14 of Strange, Creepy and Mysterious Things I Found on the Internet, a series where I cover a range of unsettling internet media, from YouTube videos to Reddit posts and everything in between. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to gain access to uncut videos and other perks, or you can leave me a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Thanks to anyone who considers this. This video will contain discussions of topics that some might find triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. You can become a Ko-fi member or a member here on YouTube to watch an uncut version of this video, which features a whole extra entry that was unsuitable for this cut. I was reading through an old Ask Reddit thread about mysteries when I came across a comment posted 5 years ago that told quite a terrifying story. It read, "My grandfather had been in World War II and told us about when himself and a few other soldiers had been separated from his unit and were trying to get to Normandy. They had gone through a clearing in a wooded area but had to drop when they heard something approaching. They were on their bellies in 3-foot grass when they saw 20 or 30 German soldiers running across the clearing, clearly in a state of panic. Then they just froze in mid-step. He said they resembled statues and that some weren't even touching the ground, and that there was no noise whatsoever, even the birds had gone silent. After a few seconds came a loud noise like metal scraping on concrete, and the frozen soldiers started to become blurry, to the point at which they vanished without a trace. This had been reported by all of the soldiers that were present, and all were called to the War Office in London after their return to the UK, where they were pressed on what they saw over a period of a few days, and were taken back to the same spot in France shortly after the war had ended. Surprisingly, when they got there were other men sharing the same accommodation who reported similar occurrences in the exact same area. They were all taken to the woods and had to describe where and how the events took place. My granddad had said that the entire area was guarded heavily and that part of the ground was heavily excavated. The strangest thing of all, he said, was that there were hundreds of dogs in the area just milling around for no apparent reason. They returned to the UK with a gag order ordering them never to speak about any of this. He went back to the same spot in France before he died in 1985 and said that the area had been covered with unmarked warehouses and was guarded by an unusually professional security company. He reckoned they were military. I've tried to find out more about this but can't find any records of it. But I do remember one of the guys who he was with that day. He used to come and visit sometimes and referred to the place as the Splintered Woods. I tried to do some Googling in an attempt to find any more information about this online, but all I came across was the same comment that had been posted elsewhere on Reddit and quoted on a couple of different sites. Personally, I'm quite rationally minded. I don't actively believe in ghosts or anything paranormal, but of course there are many strange occurrences in the world that can't be explained with the scientific knowledge we have right now. So while I think it's probable that one day we will be able to logically explain most of these experiences, no one can totally rule out the possibility of supernatural origins. Of course, this is just a Reddit comment, it could be a totally fabricated story, but where's the fun in that? So for the purpose of this segment, let's just assume it's true. My first thought was that it could have been some kind of shared delusion between the soldiers. This is relatively rare, but it does happen, and given that they were soldiers in World War II, likely experiencing the most stressful and traumatic times of their lives, I'd imagine such an environment would make them more prone to hallucinations. That said, it wasn't just OP's granddad and his unit that reported this. When they went back, various other people had seen similar things too. What he said about there being hundreds of dogs just roaming around is also weird, not to mention that they were told never to speak about what they saw, and that even years later the area was guarded, possibly by military personnel. All this seems to suggest that something weird was going on there, whether it was supernatural or there was another explanation that they didn't want anyone finding out about. One of the replies on the comment suggested that the disappearing soldiers may have been holograms. I know next to nothing about this stuff, but as far as I'm aware, that kind of technology wasn't known to exist at that time. However, I doubt all the technology that was used in the war was or is public knowledge, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it did exist and was covered up for some reason. I can't really think of any other explanations, and I didn't find any other grounded theories in the replies, so if you can think of a more plausible theory, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Kind of off topic, but when I read the part of the story where the soldiers froze before they vanished, it reminded me of a TikTok I saw recently where a woman can be seen frozen mid-step for a second before she continues walking, and I thought I may as well include it here. It's a very short clip, so I'll play it a couple of times and then slow it down so you can see it properly.
Why is she frozen? Bruv, I'm tripping. What the fuck? Why is she frozen? Bruv, I'm tripping. What the fuck?
The description was, NPC caught lacking. And of course some of the comments were bound to be running with that, or saying it's a glitch in the Matrix. Others said she might have been having a seizure, or it could be related to OCD. I've never seen anything like that due to either of those things, especially if we believe the caption that she was frozen for a minute before the guy started filming, but I'm not an expert, so please correct me if I'm wrong. In all likelihood, this was either staged or edited. One of the comments explained it like this. Video was shot normally, short freeze was added in post, frame enlarged hiding moving objects, camera shake added to make freeze look live. Although I edit all my own videos for this channel, given my lack of any even somewhat interesting effects, it should be no surprise to you that my knowledge of editing techniques is seriously limited, so I can't really comment on it, but that explanation sounds very plausible. It's interesting to ponder on though. We live in a time where it's pretty easy to edit almost anything in a photo or video, so nothing is particularly convincing anymore. Even if videos like this weren't edited, everyone would just assume they are and think nothing of it, and it makes me wonder if there is legit proof of the paranormal, or maybe something simulation related, like in this video, that we all just pass off as being fake when it actually isn't. In December 2022, a Twitter user, or X as it's apparently now called, with the username Hello I'm Morgan, made a post asking, "What was your craziest first date?" There were a variety of replies. One user spent 16 hours travelling to Turkey to meet someone they're now engaged to. Another had a laser quest date on 9/11. The results of some were much crazier than the date itself. For example, one user invited a girl to his place to see a movie. They didn't talk at all and she left before the end. That was 7 years ago and somehow they've been dating ever since. The reply we're going to focus on in this entry was from a user who goes by the name of ptrain67. He posted a photo of himself with a woman alongside the text, "Invited a Colombian woman on vacation without meeting her first, now we're getting married." This had the potential to be the beginning of a wild love story, but if you think it's gonna have a happy ending, you're watching the wrong channel. A quick scroll through his Twitter profile doesn't give away much about him. Looks like he's into investing on the stock market, politics, and he likes Andrew Tate. Apart from that, there's next to no information, but articles written since have provided more details. The user's real name is John Poulos. He's a 35-year-old divorced father of 3 from Wisconsin, USA. He first got married in 2009, and his ex-wife Ashley filed for divorce in 2021, alleging that he was abusive and claiming that he abandoned the family, transferred their entire marital estate into an offshore trust, and left them with nothing. This is totally believable, considering John replied to a tweet in October 2022 asking for best marriage advice, in which he simply stated, "Prenup and offshore trust." After the divorce, John had left the US for a few months and briefly stayed in Cyprus, Turkey, Ukraine, and other European countries before going back to the US and living in Texas. Apparently he hasn't seen his kids since he left the family home. The woman in the photo he posted on Twitter is Valentina Trespalacios, a 21-year-old Colombian DJ who matched with John on Tinder in April 2022. As he said in the tweet, they met for the first time when he took her on holiday, and a whirlwind romance ensued. They got engaged, had plans to buy a house, and John would frequently fly to Colombia to visit Valentina until they moved into an apartment together in Bogota on the 19th of January 2023. Everything was looking good, and Valentina was excited for her future. Little did she know that just 3 days later she'd be dead. CCTV footage from the 22nd of January showed the pair in the corridor outside their apartment, and this was the last time Valentina was seen alive. Sometime after, John left the apartment, pulling a supermarket trolley containing a suitcase with Valentina's dead body inside. He covered the suitcase with a blanket to hide her head, which was sticking out of the top. He then took the trolley outside to his rental car and can be seen struggling to lift the suitcase into the boot of the car. The next day, a homeless man discovered the suitcase in a dumpster where John had dumped it before driving to the airport to leave the country. He flew to Panama and was arrested at the airport on the 24th while attempting to board a flight to Turkey. He had intended to fly from Turkey to Montenegro, where there is no extradition treaty to Colombia. John now faces more than 35 years in prison if he's found guilty of the murder, which looks likely considering the video evidence. His motive is not entirely clear. Apparently resentment was building in the relationship because Valentina didn't post about John on her social media, so that could have been a contributing factor. If what John's ex-wife said about him is true, he might have been abusive in general and possibly killed Valentina in a fit of rage. Whatever happened, let's hope justice is served. I wouldn't normally include more than one potentially paranormal entry in these videos, but there is something I came across a couple of weeks ago that I thought would be a good fit for this series, and considering it's quite a hot topic, it makes sense to talk about it now. You may have seen, on TikTok or elsewhere, the video of the woman freaking out on the plane after being sat next to someone who she claims is not real. She says she's getting off the plane and implies that anyone who doesn't do the same will die on it. Here it is for anyone who hasn't seen.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to.
As I said in the first entry, I don't really believe in anything paranormal, so of course I think there must be a rational explanation behind this, but honestly it still gave me the chills. The woman is clearly very shaken up, and I think how vague she is makes it all even creepier. All she says is that the guy isn't real, and that people can stay and die on the plane if they want. She doesn't say why she thinks people will die, why she thinks he isn't real, or what she even means by not real. Did she think he was a ghost, an alien, a reptile? The possibilities are endless. Although a few more videos filmed by other passengers on the plane have emerged, no one seems sure who it is she's referring to. Some have claimed it was a flight attendant who passed her AirPods that she apparently lost. Others say it was a passenger she was sat next to and was having a conversation with until he said something that caused her to freak out. One story is that this passenger stole her AirPods, or at least that she accused them of doing so. Another alleges that the passenger told her he was going to take the whole plane down for some reason. None of these explain why she said he wasn't real, though. A lot of TikTok users have speculated that the man in question is someone who can be seen in other videos wearing a green hoodie. One guy even uploaded a video claiming he was on the plane and he saw the green hoodie man blinking vertically rather than horizontally, like a lizard, but I'm pretty sure it all turned out to be a joke. I've seen 3 different people claiming to be the green hoodie man himself. One said that the woman is in fact not real rather than him. Another had somewhat unusual ears and stated that the woman pulled his hood down to get a better look and that's why she thought he wasn't real. At least 4 different clips have been uploaded by other passengers showing different angles of the incident and what happened before the clip I played a couple of minutes ago. The woman can be seen stood up in the window seat, telling the flight attendant to stop the plane, before stepping out into the aisle, having a conversation with one of them and walking off, shouting about the man not being real, as is shown in the main clip. None of these clips actually show the man who supposedly isn't real though. It seems that people have just picked out random passengers who they think look vaguely suspicious and have latched onto them being the man with no evidence. I don't even know if the clip with the green hoodie man is even from the same flight. As far as I'm aware, the woman in the video has not come forward to tell the story from her perspective, nor has the not real man, or at least someone who is confirmed to be him. This, of course, has sparked various theories, from the man vanishing after the incident, to him never being there in the first place because he was a ghost and only the woman could see him. Rumours circulated that the woman has disappeared too, with nothing apart from her silence since then to back it up. One Twitter user uploaded a video claiming that a friend of a friend is friends with the woman, and that she was on a cruise after the incident, hence she hasn't spoken publicly about it since. According to this clip, she's okay and plans to make her own video on it at some point. That was a couple of weeks ago now, and we're still waiting. There are so many bizarre rumours and baseless theories that I don't know what to believe anymore. I love TikTok, to the point where my screen time was literally 40 hours in 7 days a couple of weeks ago. Maybe I'm just addicted, I don't know. Anyway, it's an easy way to pass time, and there is a lot of useful and interesting content on there. But it's also an absolute train wreck when it comes to stuff like this. Conspiracy theories, pseudoscience, and easily disproven nonsense spreads like wildfire on there. I know the same can be said to some extent for other social media apps too, and maybe this is just my personal experience, but at times I've never seen such a ridiculous echo chamber of absolute crap. The vast majority of the videos covering this situation are claiming the not real man is a reptile. People just blindly share any random person's far-fetched version of events as if it's fact, if they claim to have been on the plane with zero proof, and finding a single comment displaying any level of critical thinking is harder than finding a needle in a haystack. As for what is confirmed about the incident, aside from what we can gather from the videos that actually feature the woman, it was an American Airlines flight from Dallas to Orlando that had set off to the runway but hadn't actually taken off yet. And once she stated that everyone was going to die, they kind of had to treat it seriously just in case. So they stopped the plane, got everyone off, removed all the luggage, checked the plane, and after 4 or 5 hours, allowed everyone to board again before it departed, then successfully arrived at its destination with 0 deaths. One passenger who uploaded a TikTok with proof of her boarding pass confirmed the story that the woman accused a passenger of stealing her AirPods, but was saying the flight attendant wasn't real. According to this TikToker, the woman had been seen drinking alcohol at a bar in the airport prior to boarding the plane. While the boarding pass seemingly verifies that this passenger was on the flight, no one really knows for sure if her exact story is 100% accurate, but it is the best account we have right now. I'm not sure if alcohol alone is enough to explain this incident. Most people would have to drink a lot to suddenly become convinced that someone isn't real and that everyone on the plane is going to die. The woman didn't really seem drunk in the clip, or at least not very drunk. There's a good chance she wouldn't have even been allowed to board the plane if she was visibly very intoxicated at the gate. It's possible she was under the influence of drugs, but she'd likely have to have taken them hours before, as she'd be very lucky to have gotten them through security, and if she seemed obviously high, that probably would have caused problems at that point anyway. I think it's more likely that she suffers with a mental illness like schizophrenia or bipolar that triggered a psychotic episode, and she either hallucinated something that wasn't real, or misinterpreted something that was said, or something that someone did. I guess if she believes in ghosts or reptiles or whatever else, she wouldn't necessarily have to be mentally ill to have overreacted at something that most people wouldn't think twice about. I think she probably would have spoken out by now if that was the case though. Her silence seems more consistent with a change in perspective due to reflection afterwards, whether she was under the influence or not doing so well mentally at the time. If she believed in the paranormal and still believed she experienced something paranormal, it makes sense that she'd want to tell her story of what actually happened. It's also possible that the man in question did say something about taking down the plane, or that everyone on it was going to die. Perhaps it was a joke in poor taste and she took it seriously. The most plausible explanation, in my opinion, is a combination of these theories. Something happened, maybe a joke, and it got misinterpreted or blown out of proportion, either due to alcohol, drugs, mental illness, or a genuine belief in the paranormal that made the woman particularly sensitive to making that link. I don't think it just totally came out of nowhere, but I also don't think the man actually was a shape-shifting reptile who planned the deaths of everyone on board. Whatever happened, the genuine terror in that woman's voice makes for an unnerving watch, and the lack of context makes it all the more mysterious. As videos of this nature go, this is one of the most interesting clips I've seen in a while. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments, plus any suggestions you might have for a future episode of strange, creepy and mysterious things I found on the internet. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my Ko-fi members and channel members whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week in a new video.